A difficult matchup for them.
Difficulty might be a problem for some. We have majors, we have regional champions, maybe even world contenders on the pitch itself here. 2.5 men with the upward task to beat G1 here. Who will battle and go further? We've seen this before. Especially with these players onto the pitch, is just who would like to grab the advantage in the opening, as it will be Rizex trying to get some kind of purchase onto the play. Not happening as Speed feels out of that one wise.
Yeah, now down the side of the field, Oli trying to make his mark. As Atomic now. Corner tries to press past one player in Speed, that player who I'm sure you've got your eye on as Oli downfield towards Atomic. It could be an opening chance the direction of G1, but no contact found.
Yeah, but we do have our sort of look around on who could be. Ollie, we talked about last time around, he was on the pitch, such a talisman when he's on to the performance. He was so effortless in what he was able to deliver, and you know what, his two teammates allowed them sort of that ability to transpose itself onto the pitch. It's just whether he can do it again the second time around.
Second time around, and maybe a second opportunity. The match for 2.5 men, but it just goes by the wayside as Toxic infield actually just pokes the ball straight into the front bumper of his teammate, and somehow it didn't find its way in the back of the net.
Not behind the net, shot, goalless with a tight match like this here. Maybe not here, but it will be Dorito. We haven't seen a real shot on target. Not for this opening, mind you, as Ollie races back for a boost here, but decides to cut due to the pass, and just like that, 2.5 men nullifying what seems to be the favourites' offensive powerhouse at the moment.
Yeah, it's all good being an offensive powerhouse, but if you can't escape your own back half, you're really going to run into some difficulties long term. And 2.5 men right now, being really impressed just by their general spacing at the moment. The rotations looking clean for them, as at the back, 2 players in support as this ball goes high over to the backboard. Maybe a bit of danger in the air, wafting the direction of 2.5 men, and G1 are the first goal scorers.
There we have it. G1, the favourite, scoring first. Shouldn't be surprised by that. 2.5 men. It's done well to nullify so far the action as well. And just to provide an update with over at Rock and Baguette, Hunger Mode, and of course Gus Noobs being their particular stream match. If you are interested, we'll provide updates, of course, during and maybe after, with a lovely Jara Jam at the background. Here's half time, mind you. It's no surprise that G1 would like to dictate the game. They are doing it by the scoreboard, as Speed has options to go downfield.
And this could be a nice double touch opportunity, followed up by that player you just referenced, as Toxic is just going to have to buy his time, wait for that opportunity to strike, but alas, never came through. And now back into the opposition corner. Rizex with a lot of work to be done, controls it nicely, an infield option in Toxic, and has found him nicely.
Nicely, but Rizex back and around here, not move across here. Just like that there, we might be seeing a few options or two here. It is 2 minutes still left on the clock here for 2.5 men to get some kind of purchase on to Rizex, slightly not getting to its speed. He just sees the wide open net there, but unfortunately it was covered with a forest of defenders, got through it, weaving around here, and Rizex has an option there. You can tell Psycho's getting excited, the man who's been here before at the top end of the tree, just unfortunately not seeing the end product like 2.5 men wanted.
Yeah, and that worst case thinking I might have referenced could have bit Rizex there, because he just didn't bite the bullet when was needed most, as that infield pass was just so beautifully placed with 2.5 men, but a lot of work for them still to be done.
It does seem that there is work at least to be fixed, at least in terms of the end result here, but we can't say here and put the argument that 2.5 men are playing badly. They're playing actually fairly well. It's just a case of the final third is lacking in terms of that killer instinct at the moment.
That is exactly what I'm thinking at the moment. 2.5 men, at least from my perspective, look to be the stronger side in game 1, but it could be a second chance the way of G1 now, as Speed starting forwards aggressively into that back third. Once again, that shot is on target from Toxic, and that is a firm reminder of why you cannot count this side out.
What a fabulous pass that was indeed. And credit to Speed, just trying to be that nuisance role slightly up, but Rizex's pass, perfect. And Gio Watts here, as much as we talk about some of these players here, Toxic, maybe the unknown quantity for some in the scene. He's one of those players, he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's getting the one defensive save here as Dorito up and around here. Rizix just being that stonewall in defence, perfectly positioned, and Ollie kind of throwing the possession away there.
Tensions may be rising a little bit for 2.5 men, but they have been afforded a bit of breathing room to work this ball downfield as Speed infield towards Rizek's, courtesy of a crazy 50-50 that goes high, and 2.5 men still looking on a very strong footing, but Speed has misplaced his left foot. He's just wobbled around, and unfortunately the loose ball has caught him off guard. It's a sad way for 2.5 men to concede.
Mechanical fault of the ball bearing slips out of the machinery, and just like that, the traction of the wheel has maybe just spluttered. Maybe an engineer might be required, but will it be Speed being the tactician, or unfortunately on the nursing bed looking for the recovery? And sadly, Doctor, we might have a sick patient here.
And a pretty sick opening game for G1. I'm sorry, that was absolutely horrible, but this team so far has taken the opportunities that have been gifted to them. First goal going the way of G1, I thought maybe was a little bit loose from 2.5 men, but that third one as well, I think it's fair to say the game was already done and dusted by that point, maybe.
Potentially so. G1, look, I think most people would have this argument that they are the stronger side. They have been in the RLCS, they have performed quite well. 2.5 men, they don't have that threat or that pedigree in terms of recent results here, but Rizix and Speed, they've been at the top for so long. Let's not joke around here. They are strong players, and yet arguably the most influential player on the pitch so far is Toxic. They're playing well, just not at the end of the other side of the pitch to knock in more goals that they've currently received so far.
Yeah, and it's not all morbid thoughts really at the moment for 2.5 men. There's no reason to really be thinking as if anything drastic needs to be changed, I think, as well, because they were looking really optimistic, especially in the possession game, the way they were working around each other, trying to maneuver their positioning on the field to just keep G1 trapped in their own half. And I think for the large majority of that game, it looked at least as if possession was favouring this side. And I fear that it's just that missing piece to the puzzle that we reference so often, Danny, that was lacking in that game one.
Well, hopefully there's still time to fix it. It is only game 2 in this set. It's a reasonably lengthy series. But of course, these players should be used to its cycle here. But again, it's when they are eventually going to pull out the big stops here. We would like to see it, but it's on 2.5 men's own back to do so.
In the second game of the series, 2.5 men fully aware of their position right now and their capabilities in taking this series, but there is just no stopping the force of nature that is G1.
No stopping it, especially with a pass like that. Rizix was at the mercy of basically the striker missing. Wasn't going to happen. And just like yesterday, less than 13 seconds, we see a goal runs on in. Pain being anguish for maybe a fan favourite. And Speed, unfortunately, no triumphant returns so far on the big screen.
Just yet, as Dorito, with a booming ball downfield, has given his team so much space to work with. As on this counter-attack, Atomic tries to catch a ball delicately and has done so well to get any grasp of control over that play.
Described it perfect, no grasp, and unfortunately still trying to work around here, but at least there's one element to the both sides here that we can credit here. And somewhat yesterday when we were casting over on the MENA side, there was a lot of individual players when stuff was going wrong. Here, at least in the European scene, they're at least trusting each other with a few passing plays, and here's another one, and Toxic with the nick of time, they're getting back likewise with Speed.
Yeah, and it's a nice bump attempt to clear some space in that defensive half, and Dorito now with very limited options does concede possession for G1, and Toxic with a venomous strike downfield caused a bit of havoc here.
Certainly so, but realistically speaking, all of G1's fault that one. The pass was weak. Positioning in the rotation was far too wide, and it just leaves that massive sort of pitch to basically slot one in. It was almost like bulls here. It's just how well can you get it to the jack, as Dorito jacks that one firmly quite high into the air, but sadly not necessarily with the right positional tool to follow off it.
Toxic now chasing this ball, beaten to the punch on that occasion by Dorito, as G1 are just trying to mount this aggression, but Speed in a good place to deal with that threat. Looping around the ceiling now, Oli a musty flick over to the backboard. Toxic with a crucial read. Maybe that's one such opportunity that G1 really thought they had.
Falling straight across here, maybe an infield ball, beckoning, that's low, and unfortunately that's a double commit here, 2.5 men, and options ahead with the counter, but the problem is this is far too slow, far too lethargic. There's no real oomph to get down to the other side of the pitch here, and Toxic forces us to shoot that one on target. No other support to follow through it.
Speaking of support to follow through, Atomic needs absolutely none with his mechanical flair trying to follow through on that touch speed. Downfield, Rizek's waiting to find that ball towards net, but Atomic yet again does well to see it clear.
Yeah, opportunity maybe just to see another opportunity, at least for both of these two sides here. It is firmly close here in the second game, but we could have said the same at game one before G1 decided to put in the second and third when quick concessions and Speed throws it down the line here. And Psycho, don't want to tell Speed hard to play here, but it just seems to be his first sort of touches is either too heavy or lob it down low.
Maybe so, but he seems to be in the right place at the right time every time to suppress this G1 escape, as right now they're still pinned in their back ranks, as Rizex is just going to buy his time before throwing in a challenge of his own. Speed, yet again, firmly placed where it needs be. 2.5 men. So far their shape leaves really nothing to be desired.
Potentially, we might see that formation at least gathered some shape. But so far here it's a bit sort of loose. There's not really much solidity in terms of the actual performance to deliver a strong basis from his Rizex from the back line here. Soft touch here, it's been two in the hands, Mantrin almost play from the back in the deep lines, but no front target man to eventually get a ball to here. It's Atomic at least bumping Rizex back away here. There is maybe a bit of a strong adversary between the two here.
Ooh, it's going to be an uncomfortable touch here over to the corner, but Toxic very quick to scoop that one up, and infield Speed looking to be that option, that threat, and has done well enough for G1's hand to be forced. And 1 minute left on the clock. And to work from the back here, Toxic all alone. We know what he's capable of. He's thrown it towards net, testing the waters for G1.
Still testing. Well, unfortunately for G1, it could have spelled absolute disaster. We're approaching near enough the last 30 seconds of the second game here. It's been pretty much a lot of nothing. It's no disrespect meant to them, but it's been a glance here, maybe a sense, but nothing with real force to break through these defensive capabilities. The structures are there, 20 odd seconds. So the last 10 seconds pretty much been in G1's final third. But other than that, that's been it.
That has been it, but it's not done just yet. 10 seconds left and 100 boost grab from Speed here. Oli with an uncomfortable touch, and this third player in Toxic is going to feed himself through. Rizex now. An uncomfortable touch here. Has he got what it takes? He throws it high. Is there the support there? Toxic is exactly that. And 2.5 men afforded a chance to breathe.
They certainly do. They've certainly needed it as well. But what is needed is a strong presence by both of these two sides here at the final stage of the play here, as Rizex cuts that one out beautifully. A removal off to the pitch here. Both sides getting 1-2. Critical, pivotal to their sets of play here, as Toxic has to throw himself. Rizex backflips, and it's only leaving Speed and Oli just decides to throw it into the corner. Wasteful opportunity.
Atomic is going to find a really difficult escape. He was pressed so high forwards, and Toxic now in the corner. Scoops this ball high. He's taking his time, he's read the play perfectly, and just seconds ago we saw G1 maybe on the cusp of extending that little step too far. 2.5 men certainly looking not to recreate that.
Tomic up. Nothing, at least in terms of this, seems threatening here. Double commit. What a save by Speed. Bailing out 2.5 men. Horror show at the back lines there.
Certainly so. And this attack still looks like it could be forthcoming. Atomic up to the sky, so much space to work with, but Speed yet again just throwing himself straight to the play. He knows exactly what is on the hearts and minds of this G1 side, and that is the goal. He is getting between it every single time.
What a demo by Speed. Toxic didn't know it was going to pay off. He had the play safe, very much just trying to play with caution here, but the wind is blowing against G1 here. They're going to have to turn the tides here. They're feeling the burn that Speed's being put onto it.
Now Dorito high. Is there that option in Atomic? There to deliver the final punch, not that time around, and filters through. A second man from G1 still couldn't have a crucial impact on the play, and 2 minutes into OT now. It's more of exactly what you referenced, testing the waters, but still yet to see that final piece of clinicality from either of these two.
Rise by G1, goal-scoring beasts, effectively so, but they've been timid so far here, and that one just gets pelted downfield. A secondary touch here, and Rizex will be clearing it. What's going to be the statement, but unfortunately misses the ball. Nobody from G1 respected Rizex too much here. They give an amateur-like mistake there as Ollie is up here, sailing it down. It will be Toxic downfield. Double commit perhaps by G1, but back it goes to 2.5 men.
And loads of boost in the tank to work with. Speed is forcing this 50. He's going to force a second too, as this boost on G1 still looking plenty healthy enough for an escape. As Rizex with a pinch infield. Speed lofted high over to the backboard. They're trying to really just unpick this G1 defense one at a time. That is the name of the game.
Great talks about 10 minutes OTs. We're only so far 3 minutes into it. It might just be heading into one of those series, and particularly in this game here, it's just a case of not really paying off for either side here. It is Speed, at least down the flanks here, as Rizex bails out of that one. Toxic likewise, he throws a foot in, effectively so. Rizex is there, Speed's last man here. Rizex past double commit, and Dorito now hovering around, now trying to prod this one through.
And he's been the one that's prodded over to the side of the field, and Toxic is going to make Dorito really have to stretch, but somehow the touch is still found from the G1 back lines, as Rizex now in the corner with no support, and a demo opening up some space for G1. A flip reset underneath one, still not good enough.
Dorito shot! Punched away by Rizex. There was demos by G1, but too slow on the attack here. Allowed the response of the demos to really not be any of a fact here to what the G1 strategy was there. 4 minutes now into this, what feels like a struggle by both sides, and maybe just get one in here, but arguably you can say it's a defensive masterclass by both sides.
Oh, and as you say that, Toxic almost gifted a chance to just hoof a ball downfield and maybe just get a goal straight off the back of it, as Rizex underneath one now, courtesy of a nice fake from his teammate up ahead. This ball's gone long, and there is support to wrap around in this corner. Rizex now, no touch found. A smart little fake there from Oli.
Speed, that's 50s across, Toxic's up zone, Speed! And that's how it ends! A double commit by 2.5 men. You go high or low, and both decide it's time to jump.
And they do. And I think they had to as well. G1 in such a menacing position there, courtesy of that infield 50. There was that player downfield to deliver that punishment on the open space across net. Dorito, the clear MVP in terms of the numbers game for G1, and really after that final play you cannot fault him for it.
Certainly can't. It was, however, a game that maybe not be going down as one that you would teach Psycho in terms of here's how you play it perfection-wise. The defensive game was there that delayed the eventual goal going through. but there was nothing there that we sort of going, you know what stops me from doing that at rank? It was that type of performance, but it was just done well.
Yeah, it was consistency, really, across the board. And I think maintaining that level of professionalism in your play can sometimes be overlooked because it is difficult to really just sort of clamp down as a team and not put a foot wrong for that length of time. We just saw a 4-minute overtime in Game 2, and it seems as if for both of these teams, they are relaxed, they are confident. They have a platform now to build from, and I do believe whichever of these two sides can really take that next step forward, put one foot in front of the other, and really get creative with their plays downfield, maybe some more of those disruptions and the likes of that sort of thing, that could really, really fine-tune this series, Danny.
Well, hopefully. It will be a shame if on the Rocket there's 2 sweeps back-to-back here. Sometimes that's how paradise crumbles, but for those particular teams it is paradise here. G1 looking maybe for a comfortable ride to the semi-final stage where they were unfortunately last time around eliminated. They would like to go at least one step better. Will Rizex, however, put an end to that thought?
It's a smart play to throw the ball across to Speed because he knew he was going to be bested by that pre-jumping defender, so why not feed it through to some extra open space. 2.5 men looking quite positive in their plays early on so far.
Positive so far here. So far across the European action here on the RSO. But hold on a second here. The former prince of the region gets the opening goal and stopped the rot.
And Rizex with a Cinderella bump on the back lines. Not sure that's been a phrase ever said before, but G1 are going to be looking at that play and thinking, what on earth just happened? There was one player in Speed. That seemed as if that was all that play had to offer, and that disruption I spoke of during that quick break, Danny, it seems they've already figured it out.
Let's see if it continues with that fortitude of mindset as well, just to keep doing it as well. As Speed feels out of that one, Ollie just tries to be tricky here. Rizex goes for the demo. Speed on the flank. It should be a passing opportunity. Speed decides to go alone. When you have Speed's capabilities, you don't blame him. You should back him all the time, but not the wise decision this time, sadly.
Infield Toxic is actually just going to not need to do a thing. Speed has just pelted a ball all the way from the backboard, and G1 extended wide on both sides. A wide open net for 2.5 men.
I taught him how to do that.
Right. That would make a lot of sense, Dan.
It would do, and if you're not sure what maybe the phrase or the joke on that one, you should have listened to the Liquid broadcast for 2 years, and Psycho's seen me play. It is just pelted from the back end and maybe the net.
And maybe it'll fly in, and 2.5 men have capitalised doing exactly that, just trying to open up some space, free their own back lines, and they've been gifted a lot more than that, as well as now maybe a chance for a third. That could spell disaster for G1 in Game 3, but just about get away with it as the shot flies high.
Yep, so far, if you want to do the points game that Psycho was mentioning slightly earlier, Speed has more points in the lobby combined with 5 players onto the pitch. They're all respectively even. He could have had that third goal, a hat trick, but right now he needs to be on the defensive, worrisome soul here. And Toxic and Speed, they combined their powers to bump each other. Not useful, but mind you, it confused everybody else.
Definitely did. And if a play can confuse yourselves as a team, it's sure to do that for an opposition as well, but there's no sense of confusion at the moment for 2.5 men breaching out of this defence. Rizex upfield waiting for that feed through from Speed has done well, and exactly a similar play represented by Oli here through the skies of 50 past 1. A ball long from Speed. We've seen this one before, and fortunately for G1, it's not an instant goal. What?
What are you surprised about, Psycho? Do you not see the name there? It's Speed and Rizex holding hand in hand. 130 kb hit shot. Ollie might have been close with his guess, but not close enough to save it.
I'm still just so confused. But that is 3 for 2.5 men now. Courtesy of just long balls as Toxic now for a 4th. He's weaved it through. G1 are thinking, what on earth is going wrong? But that is a sensational play from Toxic.
Toxic. He's one of those ones, and I hope he doesn't mind me describing him as a kid when I first met him was in the 1v1 scene. My word, how much he's grown up in the recent times. He's performing well here with a shot like that, mind you. It was to grab the 4, but that's there to show you what he is capable of. But just when things are getting hot and heavy under the collar, they've pulled out an established game number 3 here, just to let everybody else know we're not a joke, we're a serious team, and we're performing like one.
They're performing like true professionals at the moment, at least in Game 3, 2.5 men. We've seen how close they took G1 in Games 1 and 2, and this definitely is the most, the furthest of a step forward that either of these two sides have found so far. In 2.5 men, it's going to be such a driving factor for them. That momentum, which is oh so important, continues as Speed makes a miracle save.
That's a miracle save. That's just Speed. If you think it's a miracle, if you think it's heavenly, no, that's just Speed. Get used to it. That's what he's capable of doing. That's what we miss him. That's what we wanted in the scene. Great personality, great player, and he is performing excellent when his team needs so. The captain, effectively so, making, frankly, the best performance we've seen so far in this series by him.
Yeah, it's been beautiful stuff in Game 3 from that player, and I'm not going to give any sort of spoilers towards the scorecards. That will have to be something you wait and see in 42 seconds time, potentially, as Oli does get one through that final defender downfield. A lot of space afforded here, and Toxic maybe with just a little whiff in the midfield giving way to that.
Well, 40 odd seconds with a 4-goal advantage. Maybe you might allow 1 goal step on in. You let 3 more step on in here, there might be a different complexion to this one, and a shade of red on 3 players' face.
Well, let's hold our horses, because unlikelier things have happened, and I've bared witness to many a thing in Rocket League. This would be another one of those.
Certainly so. I've seen them plenty of times. I won't mention which player that I may be referring to on that one. It's Toxic gets the 5th one in. It's pretty much safe to say that 2.5 men has won this particular game while 19 seconds are on to the clock here. Well, what a performance here. They've stepped it up so far.
Yeah, and I think one crucial factor for me, at least so far, has been that layer of disruption that 2.5 men have tried to bring to the table, which has been lacking in Games 1 and 2 as they try to find their stride, find their rhythm, really just sort of figure out G1, if you like. And now that that's all been said and done, after a 5-1 result, we could be in with a really, really tight series.
I really hope that was going to be 6 there.
Close.
Well, where do we begin here? I think it's fair
Speed.
to say we took. All right, I'll let you, because you were
Speed.
going to be the one mentioning this.
Yeah. 964 points towards this player, and up until 1 minute left of play, Speed had 880 points. His teammates had 210 or less. That's the statement for me in Game 3.
That's an average game for Speed. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not exceptional. That's just Speed. Have you not seen him play before?
I have quite a number of times, but it always surprises me. He's always just got something more to give. Always. It's beautiful.
He's certainly so. Well, I'll stop fanboying over Speed for a moment here, and let's maybe bring our attention to G1 here. That was one of those games there where they didn't dominate, they didn't dictate the opening. In fact, we talked about the demo, you brought it up yourself, what they needed to do, and conceded from it. They weren't the side to do well, at least at getting comebacks before against some of the top teams before. They were capable of doing it at least twice, failed to do it the 3rd time, and that's eventually how they got knocked out against Vitality. This feels like a similar situation here, and a problem that could be exposed in their game here.
Yeah, and I think one concern for me that I did see in that game was just how much open space G1 were actually gifting the way of 2.5 men. We saw the likes of that downfield clearance, for example, from Speed, which ran the entire length of the court, and it's little surprise factors like this which you don't want to see in a team as capable as G1.
Well, time for our decisions and maybe conclusions to be made of this game here. Of course, we've only played 3 games so far here, so the jury is still out here. Likewise as the ball from the kickoff here. Speed, so far trapped in the back half here. No real nuisance being provided yet here by 2.5 man. And that's really a big mistake by Toxic there.
Really big mistake, but unpunished because there just was no shooting lane for G1 here as 2.5 men try to escape from their own backlines. Downfield, Rizex does all the heavy lifting himself as Toxic finally works his way into the play. Atomic downfield, no such luck poking the ball forwards past 2, as there is plenty of blue numbers at the back.
Yeah, a number advantage for G1, but again, not the advantage when it comes to the play itself. Toxic was waving around here, should be an infield pass, and unfortunately it must have been a late com there. That was an undecisive play by a Speed, and Toxic waits patiently as Rizex does his job here. Back it goes here, pinches, and it might be Speed. It might be a setup, and Psycho was getting very excited there for half a second.
How could you tell? How could you tell? Our social media person behind the scenes would have been elated with the tweeting opportunities if that one found the back of the net, but no such luck. Such an unlikely touch. All of those defenders from G1 waiting ahead and ready to deal with the threat is now through the skies. Atomic, potentially a chance to lay it off to a teammate, both beaten with one foul sweep.
Ollie to shimmy his way down here. Rizex will has an option, will be the ceiling, so looks like it's just a case of throwing it, get a bit of position, bit of boost here, and reset the play here. But once again, 2.5 men are trapped here. It's almost an escapology trick here. They're going to have to find a way to be slippery out of this one.
Toxic, certainly known for being slippery. That 1v1 prowess you spoke of has given way for Speed to come through. The shot, though, really lacking any meaning. It just finds its way central of the net as Oli trying to just relax the play, slow it down a little bit more. But 2.5 men, so venomous as they can be, have found a miracle finish.
What a way to slice through. There's barely pixels to breathe. If you try to, it would just be a puff of smoke around the ball. That's how much distance was between the pinch and the wall itself. Fabulous by 2.5 men. Now on the ascendancy, they are feeling it. Maybe a lot more pumped from the victory of game number 3, perhaps.
Some disruption from Atomic. It's given space for Dorito, but there just isn't a chance to put one on target. As now this one drops down. Oli's found the target. That is for sure, and in the most unlikely way, maybe humanly possible.
Just look at that. Drops it down and looks like it may have just been safe, but Toxic's touch could technically count as an own goal. It'd be cruel if it was awarded as such, as 2 minutes left on the clock here. What Tuna men might have thought they have. Unfortunately, you don't know it until you lost it.
They've lost one goal, but it's not all misery so far. That was a really nice piece of magic from G1 as almost Oli with a secondary touch towards net as that one just creeps in front of that same thing. Now Speed infield, he has a chance to dart past one. He's got as far as Atomic, but lying in the back line's comfortable with that one.
Really much to talk about on that particular play as G1 likewise was trying to give a taste of the medicine. Likewise on the other side of the pitch, double demo, but look where the ball is, back into the orange half here of G1, back it down to Atomic here, pops it high up, eventually will be challenged.
Oh my.
That's a poor challenge, that's a very poor challenge. What a save, mind you, coming from it.
And downfield, maybe one more touch. Could be a nail in the coffin, but just too high on that follow through, and 2.5 men in need of another one of those opportunities. Downfield, a high ball from Atomic. It's only gone and found a blue player as possession, just being transferred hastily between each side, neither wanting to be the first to maybe make a crucial mistake.
The fact that this game, the mistake here is a missed opportunity. Psycho.
Yes,
Did that really just happen?
it happened. And Toxic is going to be all smiles and waves as G1, the crowd just waving by that goal. An open bit of space in field, that was all that was required. Such a high-paced shot, 120 kph. It was a difficult one to see away, but can you let a chance like that slip?
Talking about mistakes, and unfortunately the mistakes in this game is just not connecting to the ball at those type of moments, like this one here, tied up before. Ollie, for the second time in RSO in big series, gets these critical goals, and just like that, 20 seconds and two of the men thought they tied up the game.
Perfect communication, perfectly executed plan, and the finish just to the right-hand side of that last defender. G1 with a really smart play as those seconds ticked down, and 2.5 men were always bound to struggle with just one at the back, and unfortunately could not do the heavy lifting. Now another overtime potential here in game 4, if not for some bit of miracle speed underneath, but the touch just a bit too soft.
Might have been an issue earlier in the series. Speeds versus touch here. Ollie is struggling. There is panic. You can sense it. You can just feel that there was almost crying at the other side of the pitch there. Unfortunately, the tears is flooding. Maybe Speed's eyes is blocked here. He needs to get this one away. Gently pushing that one away.
And through the skies, Dorito all alone. That is all he needs. And some boost in the tank is following through. Atomic high. We've seen this before. Is the follow-up there? No. But a disruption from that bump after that initial touch gave way to such a crucial save from 2.5 men.
ResX should have been credited with it. It was the bump that delayed it. But a ball like this here should have been a bit softer here. They're almost setting up the siege like here. 2.5 minutes, just not paying full dividends here. What? Get away! Get away! G1's probably crying as well as ResX. Oh, ResX!
That's such a beautiful finish. He had limited options with what he could do with that play. Does he try and just poke it towards net and hope? Does he use that flip? And it was actually such an unexpected finish. Just weaved its way past both G1 defenders. And now look at the state of the series we're in now.
Well, the state of affairs is quite literally 2-2. And unfortunately for G1, they are facing 2.5 men that has looked like they were gone at the start of the series here. And it was not until the catalyst itself in the form of Speed kicked off here. Toxic got the mechanics rolling here, but you haven't really spoke about ResX, Psycho. And my words, that play, the ability to, how can we say, gently get a pre-jump into the start of it and have that bottle to go for something that special.
Speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? It's a piece of class from a player which you expect to deliver class. ResX, of course, being a player that's been around in these top ranks of competition for so many years now. I believe there's always been that question, can he stay at that top level? And it's moments like those which really show you that he is still capable of those highlight moments. But like you said, we haven't been talking about this player enough, I don't think, ResX. He's been such a solidifying factor in this 2.5 men roster and is doing so much work behind the scenes.
So far, that seems to be the story. There are certain players that just fall between the cracks of history. Speed could have been maybe guilty of that in recent times. ResX likewise. In this series here, they were quite quiet. Speed stepped up, as I stated before. ResX, as Psycho was given the accreditations behind the name, and rightly so after that so far. I think now this time, Dorito and Atomic are fall foul of the same problem here. They're going to have to maybe just step up a gear or two here just to help Ollie out here.
And you can see that there's a lot of aggression early on from this side in blue as Speed just lets this ball go by the wayside, and ResX with a really crucial first touch to follow from. Sees that ball wide. Speaking of wide, this is corner bound. Is there a response from G1? Oli needing to make a really difficult touch.
Difficulty, but not too difficult. I'll have to be trickier than that here. It is a very simple problem here. An elegant solution perhaps, but a double commit here as Ollie's up here. Shot will be wide and it will be speed. The poke it slightly further up here. Up and skip to the backboard. Atomic will be there. Rizek, he has options. Should be a pass, but decides to go for the shot. Not a fan of it, but look at where the rotation was the right call as Ollie slows it down here.
Pristine first touch, but unfortunately for G1, 2 players stepping forwards there when 2.5 men could have easily made that response as Toxic now with a bit of free air to his name. Atomic, a quick response. G1 trying to slow it down in front of net. No touch found though from Oli. Really, really necessary there.
What a pass he originally received, and the setup was wonderful. It could have been gorgeous, but unfortunately a nightmare situation at speed left alone, and Rizex from one end to the pitch here, just killing and squashing the hope here. Ollie to drop it down. What a pass!
G1 are fully back in business. Dorito high. Oli waiting, prepared to drop it back down. All 3 players with a bit of magic.
Fabulous interaction between all 3 there. 2.5 men. The likely side in this particular matchup. The score there, and again G1 steps to the batting cage itself here and moves across here, fabulously tucked in. But there is half a game here for 2.5 men to do what they always do and just continue to be the nuisance of the European region.
Speaking of nuisance, Rizex with a pre-jump to feed this ball corner bound. It's all 3 blue players just lying, waiting, ready to throw in that next challenge. You can see the dial of aggression is just being turned and twisted that little bit higher as time goes by. The boost numbers dwindling for G1, but alas, they've still found a free path out.
Number game, unfortunately, is heading that way, southwards bound, as that one soft touch and an accidental wheel touch forces now Toxic to Scarper. He grabs boost, so speed will take over control of the play here, loses it like that, and once again, that's where the touch needs to be much better by speed here, as Jack knows himself, needs to be so much more clinical than that.
Maybe so, but there's lots of time left. Just one piece of individual brilliance, maybe a mistake on the end of G1, and the tides could still easily be turned as Toxic now settled in the corner becomes a downfield option. As Atomic infield, Speed's going to win out this war. He takes to the skies, maybe has a 50 to follow through, but Oli so quick to deal with it.
Likewise was Rizex. There is a passing lane there. Speed will have the shot blacked off by that one there. Ollie just doing what he needs to do here. Second touch here. Rizex, he sets himself up. Doritos there, tries to go low. Toxic will pass the Speed. Maybe not the right decision with the defender hovering around him. Bloody blocks that particular option. 60 odd seconds for 2.5 men defend one. They have found it!
Rizex, you absolute beauty with the infield ball to Speed back across. 120 kph, that is just faultless.
You're in for the series. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Speed's return. Rizex to Toxic's announcement. And just like that, maybe it could get even better. It could be better. It's Rizex goes right through. They were 1-0 down. They tied it up at 1-1. Now it's 2 to the better. They're on a roll.
Well, they were back in business, and now they are the top dogs to be brought down from their throne. 44 seconds left for G1 to have any sort of impact on a 2.5 men side, which are in absolute top form.
Quick shot by G1, another one, an infield pass. It's not over. It's far from over. The captain from the Holland, the Netherlands itself here, flying the Dutch pride as much as he can here. 2-2, simple as it gets.
Simple as it gets, but it's just so perfect. And 2.5 men as quickly as that, the momentum just diminishes. They have to work from seemingly nothing yet again. Toxic, what's he got to offer? Unfortunately, not a triple touch for our social media manager.
Sadly not!
Oh my
but
goodness.
he won't mind that angle. Not only does Ollie cuts it thin, he also cuts the hope short for 2.5 man. It's a match point scenario if it ends here.
This is one of the wildest final minutes of play I think I've seen in a very, very long time, and it's still not done. G1 cannot find a fourth as Speed just waiting. Does solidify a touch wide. Rizek's up to the skies now, no follow through required. Teammate at the back to deal with it. 7 seconds left. Oli, maybe an infield touch could give route for a potential counter attack, but it's done and dusted. G1 are all smiles right now, and somehow, some way, have found their way through that game.
Somehow, and thankfully, or somewhat not, there's no, I believe, timeout option. How much I would be suggesting 2.5 men to throw that one out here, but Psycho, my glasses are a bit steamed up here. That was some action there.
Where'd you begin? Where do you begin? It's impossible to say. At what point in that game did we see that elevation in pace? Did we see the nature of this series transform? Because that game was thrilling. And 2.5 men, I really thought after that second goal, after they went 2-2 in this game, I thought that potentially it was theirs to take. G1, they still had something left in the tank. That nature of intertwined passing that found that third goal the direction of G1. Just such a special performance from both sides, really.
Certainly so. This is a series here. We may have thought the opening was a bit, okay, right, fair enough. We're not questioning it now. We're at the business end. 3-2. 2.5 men. What do they have here? We've talked about Speed wanting to get back to the competitive level. He feels like he's there. Rizek's feels like he's disappeared at times, but he hasn't gone away. Toxic is there too. But when you lose that type of game cycle, morally and deep down it gets out the way at you, but they have to push that thought back as far as they can and keep on going.
Keep pushing. One foot in front of the other, that's the name of the game. One game at a time. It's often the strategy every single top-level Rocket League team implores themselves to have. It's G1 now in the driver's seat, trying to keep this presence on the field. They have Speed downfield, double touch, infield to Rizek. It's over to the backboard, but Dorito comfortably dealt with.
There's Dorito. Speed will be at the back line. Simple as that. Ollie's the round, and just simple as it gets here. Just nice touches, just get it away defensively, worry about the problem. If it materialises, it hasn't seemed to at the current juncture of time, as Atomic will get back, of course, here, and just like that, goalless in the opening minutes.
Goalless in the opening minute, and Toxic with a really nice pre-jump to free 2.5 men, and now Speed takes to the skies to follow through on exactly what his teammate did prior. And Oli in field, he tries to just poke out that teammate in field, but no connection formed. This opening minute has been more of a relaxed tempo to what we saw in the bitter stages of that previous game.
Don't mind a small breather. They were going quite hectic to the pedal to the metal type approach here, but eventually they will have to flick the switch and hit the turbo button. They might be unfortunately hitting the self-destruction button.
Rizek's with one of the biggest mistakes we will come to see in this here game. Maybe just overstepped his margins. That tiny, tiny margin. And G1, that could be all that's required for them to see this win.
Is that how it ends? G1 don't really care, but they would love just to know if that will settle what 2.5 men was building upon. There will be a shot here by Rizek. That is redemption for the German.
Redemption found, and Toxic, as much as no contact was found, Speed in the perfect position yet again to weave a pass infield. Just such forward-thinking play from 2.5 men, and they are back in business.
So, but mind you, Saigo, I don't want to put a scud on this one. We were here before, 2.5 men got a goal, suddenly it was 2-1. Then something else happened there. Don't think they might want a reminder.
Well, a reminder almost came through there from Oli. because that would have been one way to put a goal in the back of the net, flying through the skies, re-jumping downfield for a redirect, but no such luck as Rezek's downfield, no options. Toxic has to find this ball back unless he can weave some sort of magical pre-flip, and wasn't going to happen that time around.
There was an option of maybe faking it and just have hope that the ball might slip on through if there was that confidence of him getting a touch. But nevertheless, never got further than that thought. A speed moving down here, no second touch here, so he'll potentially rotate, steal the boost. Just maybe a demo if he's happier of it, but the bump was better as Rizek straight down here, leaves it for the second man. That will be Speed's turn. Doritos up, Toxic strong, 50. The presence by both sides is doing well here, but G1 still looks likely at the two sides here to do something more incredible with the play.
I have to agree with you, but 2.5 men, you can't fault their read of the game so far, as every challenge has just been picture perfect so far. G1 overextending in their back lines here, have not been punished as 2.5 men a little too relaxed with their approach there as this ball goes across. Rizex tries to feed a ball infield. Speed with a shot down, blocked away by Atomic.
Typical phrase, a keeper should save a shot at that distance, but the power and speed! What to say about Rizex? G1 had them at the beckoning of their mercy. Speed is back up at it, and 2.5 men, they find themselves with freedom. But what did that cost them, though?
Too much at the moment. They're deep in G1 territory. Speed maybe with another shooting chance as an infield ball comes across. Dorito just needs to buy time for his side to just recollect some boost, get something in the tank, but it's just not meant to be as everyone looking low. It's looking painful for G1. Speed tries to add to that pain and torture, does not find the back of the net.
This game is almost seesaw actions. It's just tippling here. Unfortunately, the problem is both sides here not willing to let go. They just hang on the edge but get themselves back on their 2 feet in the nick of time here. It's 40 seconds. Just shows you that the hourglass of sand is running out here. It's just the grains are dribbling through that small convection that is left here. It's 30 odd seconds as Rizex has to be patient, slows it down here with the help, of course, by the 50. Their speed punches its way through here. An option of a pass, but not getting it either. Toxic's turn, and he's unfortunately allowed that one to be a horror, a shocker. But Rizex, once again, a calm, cool, experienced head showing.
It's that experience which really pays dividends in situations like these tense moments now, and this ball is going to see its way through to overtime. G1 and 2.5 men, nothing separating them in game 5.
Not yet, but there will have to be a winner. And unfortunately, for the neutrals who's enjoyed the action so far, G1 scores, we move on to the semi-final. If not, game 7. A decider between these two, and it arguably deserves to go that far. It's been fabulous so far, but Rizex, he's been beaten. But look at that, their speed. Once more, prowling with the ball here, but not finding a straight clear exit to break through his own defensive quarters.
And it seems as if an infield 50-50 there, the direction from G1 is actually favouring this 2.5 men's side as they're beating the opposition to the punch. But hold on a minute, Dorito is through the skies, and he's through this particular round in the quarterfinals. G1 are the team to do it.
The quiet man of G1 sat there, whispering away at the ears of his teammates there, pulling the strings at the back there, dictating the tempo. Unfortunately, with the decisive blow ends 2.5 men's fun, joy. The elatement has been almost burst. Unfortunately, we will be saying goodbye to them, but G1 once again at a semi-final stage, Seiko. It's almost like they made it their home so far.
It is their home, and what a performance from G1 as well. I know we were harping on about 2.5 men for a large portion of that series, but ultimately G1 did a stellar job of capitalising on the mistakes from 2.5 men that they left behind. Very, very few and far between, and the likes of Atomic in that series played such big factor. An MVP performance from that player in my mind, and a deserved path through to the next round.
Well, certainly so. And while we might have one deserving team, there is 3 others we'll have to find out. But I do believe that the dapper gentleman himself, the esteemed colleague of ours here, will be joining us, and it is Jar of Jam here. What's the news happening around the other pitches?
Hello, gentlemen, and we have some updates for you. Top of the bracket, Moist Esports 4-1 versus SK Gaming, and we've looked into that series just quickly. It went 3-0 one way, Moist, then all of a sudden 6-1 from SK, then no reply for SK for 2 straight matches in a row, and finally in the final game, overtime, that's where Moist have taken the whole series. Folks, everybody who was wanted, you're going to see Moist Esports on your screens. While on the other quarterfinal, Wild did something to Quadrant, the same thing that pretty much Quadrant did to Luna Galaxy. That's a head turner and a head scratcher, and I'm really curious to see how Wild are going to be showing today. Tempo, Chippy, and Billy seem to be just on the right foot, just like Quadrant have been before. We've just seen G1 versus the side of 2.5 men, and literally, this could have gone either way. Both teams are incredibly ready. Danny, for you, speed has gone from extreme to an extreme, and managed to end up unfortunately not taking it for the whole distance. And still, there's a match happening off our screens, but back on the Rocket Baguette stream. Of course, Hogan Mode versus Gross Noobs, currently in an overtime. Hogan won goal away, not even game, just goal away for making it into the semi-finals. I'd say no huge surprise. I suppose no huge surprises, but Wild versus Quadrant, Psycho. This must be the one that we should be looking at, because just exchange of whoever's in the lead, and in sense of like which team is all of a sudden dominating. Quadrant dominated Luna, now Wild dominating Quadrant. Can Wild repeat the same thing now with Moist?
I think Moist is just one of these teams which you cannot count out, and regardless of current form of a side like Wild, I think the favourites are always going to be Moist Esports. And if I'm not mistaken, Wild really struggled to even qualify for this event here today, and they had their woes in that RLCS Spring Cup, I do believe, as well. So it's not one of those teams which you would expect potentially to be pushing it the distance to the semi-finals. That is the underdog story for me right now, at least. And so all eyes on me, all eyes on Wild, rather, for me, Jam.
Well, or all eyes on you as well, as we're going to be most certainly doing the predictions later on. While we were talking, an update has come through. Hogan Mode taking it over Gross Noobs in that final Game 6 overtime. They're going to be G1's opponents in the other semifinal. And folks, good news, you're not gonna miss a single thing. Both semis as well as the grand finals will be broadcasted right here on The Rocket, as well as the Rocket Baguette channel if you prefer to listen to this in French, if you parlez-vous français and you'd rather listen to they're a wonderful team. We love Rocket Baguette, and we also love Ally and Psionics. Thanks to them for organizing these bubble tournaments, both on EU side as well as North American side with the draw. Without their support, all of this would not be possible. We'll not be able to see all of these great European and North American teams battle for big prizes. Again, overall, EU $70,000 across 5 tournaments. Same thing goes for North America. Only today we're playing for $14,000, and it is quite a bit of money. $6,000 for the top prize, $3,000 for the second place finisher. Our semi-finalists that are out, and we already know all of those semi-finalists, are going to receive $1,500, and everybody who has been knocked out in this round of quarterfinals released gonna receive $500. For everybody else, there's yet another chance to get themselves on the board, because we have 3 more Rising Stars Odyssey tournaments running. Next up, July 1st and 2nd, open qualifiers on the first day, main event, the one you're watching right now, on the 2nd. We take a big break for the month of August for the Worlds, and return in September for the closing 2 tournaments. So get a team and get started. Check out all information at the rocketbaguette.com/RSO. And we hope to see you on one of these broadcasts, or just playing, or maybe even just watching. Gentlemen, it has been already an exciting day, and we still have 5 more series to go. I think we're in for a good one. Before we go on a break, any thoughts from you, Danny?
I'm stunned by some of the results so far. I'm also heartbroken for Spades. I don't know why you brought that news up, Jam. I can't believe you done it when I'm sitting here. But in all seriousness, in terms of surprise and shockers, the fact that some of the invitational teams dropped so early, Wild actually forcing Quadrant out, as you stated before, it's a big day for the, if you want to say in quotations, the smaller teams. They've stepped up here, and you know what? They're making a statement and a half here.
Well, 2.5 men, unfortunately, out. Same goes for Quadrant, SK Gaming, and Gross Noobs. We are going to be seeing Moist Esports and Wild on our screens next. This is Rising Stars Odyssey, and we'll see you in a moment.